Okay, it is now late fall. The leaf falling season is over. As you can see, the trees are basically clear of leaves. So I ran my experiment this fall for whether or not the Luba can be effective at mulching leaves. Last year, I ran a similar experiment on my Husqvarna 435X. Now those, although they use similar concepts in terms of having razor blades mounted to a plate that spins, the actual setup is a little different. So on the Husqvarna mower, which was over there, but I put it away for the season, the blades don't spin quite as fast, and so when they runs over leaves, the blades can get pushed around a bit more. So you have to lock the blades down. And the way I did that last year was to stack like used blades on top of each other and then tighten down the screw to make sure it holds in place. And it kind of sort of worked, but even then I didn't get that much cutting of leaves across the yard. The way this one works is you have two sets of plates, each that has 4 razor blades on them, so it's 8 blades in total, and they spin a lot faster than on the Husqvarna mower. And now during normal grass cutting season, that means you can cut grass in a single pass. You don't have to do multiple passes. So in theory, this could also be pretty good for mulching leaves without doing so many passes on the grass that it beats up the grass. So we had a relatively dry and warm autumn this year, which meant that the leaves were nice and crispy for quite a while, which is ideal conditions for mulching leaves, right? You don't want to do it on wet leaves. So I did it in a few areas, in the area back there, and also a little bit in the front, and also in the backyard here. We had a lot of leaves. Now the wind has since blown a lot of this stuff away, but there was usually we get like a whole layer of leaves back here that fall from all these trees. So first I put the mower back here. And normally in the spring and summer, the mower doesn't do so well over here because of all the tree coverage. The Luba 1 requires access to satellites. And if you have too much shade, then it'll just get stuck and won't know its position. If this were a Luba 2 with a camera on top, maybe I could do more of this in the spring, but no matter. When fall happens, the sky clears up because there are no leaves covering, this section of yard. So we can actually get out back here and do a lot of mulching. It did a pretty decent job mulching the leaves there. I don't remember how many passes I had to do, but basically all you do is you set it to the lowest running speed. So when it's moving around, it's moving as slow as possible. And then in terms of the cutting height, I didn't find it to make too much of a difference. You may want to set it a little bit taller if you have a thick leaf pile. Generally, I just set it to the minimum possible height. It's like an inch off the ground or thereabouts. And I just have it do a couple of passes. And so it did pretty nicely back there. And I also did in this section of the driveway over here. On the back driveway, most of the leaves tend to fall in the back over here from all these trees. It doesn't fall so much on this side. It's mostly over here. So you get a whole lot of leaves that pile up here, and I have to get the rake out to spread them out a little bit, because if the leaf pile is too thick, the mower can get stuck. So you just got to make sure that you have a nice even spread of leaves. And I just did a ton of passes here. As you can see, these are actually mulched quite nicely. This is all from the Luba. Normally in a given year, in the past, I would have to get my push mower out and do this all by hand. But this is all from the Luba, and it seems to do a pretty nice job of really cutting these leaves up. Now what does happen though is, as it's cutting this pile of leaves, it will tend to shovel some of the leaves off to the side because it's really trying to push through everything. So the way you want to set it up is you run your grid first, and then you do your perimeter runs last. So that way, anything that gets pushed along to the edge of the perimeter, the mower will come and cover that, later on in the run. So this stuff here could have been residual from when it was mulching leaves earlier in the season, or it could just be from the wind blowing around leaves from all around the neighborhood. I don't know, but that's a pretty small leftover of leaves. In past years, you may or may not believe, this becomes a huge pile just in this section of the property here. And it cut it down really nicely. So then, oh, and by the way, I guess one of the prices you have to pay for that is when it's doing tank turns, it does tend to eat up the ground a bit, especially if it's doing turns a lot in a certain area. This is a gravel driveway, and you see there's a lot of exposed dirt here, so a lot of these rocks got kicked up as it was turning around. And I also see that on the front side of the lawn over here. So I have this strip of grass that runs around to the front, and over here and also across the driveway there's another strip over there that's kind of like this. And we get, you know, some trees on the edge here, and leaves fall down. I get a big fat pile of leaves over here. So again, I had to take the rake and sort of spread these out a bit just to make sure it's, you know, not so much that it'll cause the mower to get stuck. But again, you know, you do enough passes, and this is all from the Luba. I didn't use my push mower at all on this section of the property. So it does a really nice job mulching the leaves, but you see this band here of dirt that no longer has grass on it. That's because the Luba is, you know, turning around at the edge here and going back this way, and it did enough times it started ripping up the grass on this side. So if you're okay with that, you know, and doing a little bit of reseeding, let's say next spring or whatever, then this is a pretty good solution. It saved me a lot of effort. You know, normally it would take me a couple of days doing across the entire property, doing all the leaf mulching. The only leaf work I had to do was really in this section of yard here, which is not too big, and a little bit in the back, because there's actually I might as well just show you that. So the backyard, the mower has no problem accessing it, but if I try to do this section over here, which runs closer to the house, even with all the leaves down, the mower is going to get sort of stuck or not really know its position if I get it too close to the edge of the house. I guess it tends to block the satellite signal too much. I've seen this in other people's comments about the Luba, where you can't really mow too close to the edge of the house or it'll lose its positioning. So this section here, I use my push mower, but everything else, and the back driveway and the front section, I did it all with the Luba. So it saved me, you know, maybe 80% of the work that I had to do for mulching leaves. I think it did a pretty decent job. So you can in fact automate some of your leaf mulching with a Luba, which you cannot do with a Husqvarna mower. And again, the fundamental reason is because the blades on this spin a lot faster. So in a given pass, it's going to do a lot more cutting. Okay, so that's it. Now you can mulch your leaves. I hope that you found that reasonably informative. Thanks for watching.